Yo, can you guys hear me?
Yeah, can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm good. Bro, I just wanted to come up because the sister that was talking, she was talking about the crescent moon and all that stuff.
The
I
topic
hope that
is,
she,
the topic is
yeah,
Judaism must prove that Jesus is a Muslim. Please don't get sidetracked by that. That's not the topic.
yeah, but you know what I mean though, right? Like that was literally a Turkish Ottoman like thing, bro. It wasn't even like
That's
the Arabs didn't have that symbol. Yeah, bro.
address
My
this.
bad, bro. My bad. Yeah, I just kind of wanted to correct that, bro. Because literally, just look at history, bro. Like the Shahada was always the flag, bro.
I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah,
Address
I
the
can hear you.
topic, or we're not gonna engage. Are
Okay,
you
okay, my bad.
okay?
Okay, I will talk about the one thing that the other guy talked about too, though. Um,
It's
like
proving
about
Jesus is
the
a Muslim. Is it?
yeah. Oh, okay. So you want to talk about the rub thing anymore?
I want you to prove that he's a Muslim. That Jesus is a Muslim. Are you okay?
That Jesus is a Muslim. Okay, yeah, sure. Like he talked about one God, talked about the Father, obviously to the Jewish people, because that's how they knew the one God as the Father. But
Allah's
he
the
came,
Father.
yeah. He came with the message to spread
You said that in the
monotheism.
Quran that Allah is the Father.
The Quran doesn't use the word ab. It uses the word rub.
So he's not the Father.
Rub can have a caretaking sense to it though. Like literally
So
when we
what?
make
That doesn't make him the Father. Is he the Father? I didn't ask about Rub. I asked about Father. Is he a father in the Quran?
I don't think that word is used in the Quran, no.
Is it rejected in the Quran?
Like a wholesale yeah, it's rejected in the sense of the literal sense for sure.
Can you come to Allah as a son, figuratively?
Can you come to him as a figurative son? Okay, everyone is coming to him as a slave. Like that if that's what you mean. Like
That's not what I asked. I
but
asked,
there
can you come to him
be a
as
difference. Yeah.
like, it's a yes or no. Can you come to him as a
Yeah.
son, figuratively?
I don't it doesn't say that in the Quran, so I can't say maybe there's some hadith that talk about it. I don't know.
Well, there's no hadith that talks about it. It
Okay,
said,
okay. I'll take your word for
the
it.
answer. It gives you the answer. It says, there is none in the heavens or the earth that
Yeah.
can come to Allah except as a slave.
Yeah, but you
So
do
can
know
you
that
can you come to him as a son?
no.
So it rejects this idea, even figuratively, that Allah is a father, right?
Sure, if you want to think of it in that way.
Just taking the Quran for what it says. So Allah's not a father figuratively. He's not a father literally. He's not a father at all. So when Jesus points to God and says that God is his father,
Yeah.
is he in line with Islam?
No.
Then he can't be a Muslim.
Okay, can I just say one thing though?
What?
So, is it not possible that calling God Father, like the true God Father, was something only for the Jews because he had that covenant with them as a father?
No.
No?
Like, for example, is it only for was it only for the Jews to refer to God as only one God, or can the non-Jews refer to God as multiple gods?
No, so what I'm saying is that specific lexicon, like that specific like usage of the term, like that was something they conceived of themselves as being the sons of God because they had that kind of a relationship with him.
They didn't
But
conceive of it. That's what God revealed.
can you show that to me?
Yeah, Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 6 is in the Torah. It says,
Okay, let me look it up.
yeah, this is in the Torah.
Okay. All right, Deuteronomy. What is it?
32.
Okay, just give me a second. What verse? Sorry.
6.
6. Is this the way you repay the Lord, you foolish and unwise people? Is he not your father, your creator, who made you and formed you? Okay. Okay.
Now,
I
I
see that.
want you to go to the gospel. Go
Yeah.
to John. Go to John really quick. Go to John.
Okay, John.
Chapter 1,
Yeah.
verse 12.
Yet to all who did receive him, to those who believed in his name, he gave the right to become children of God.
Keep reading. Finish it.
What happened? What did you say?
Finish it. Finish it.
Oh, finish it. Okay, let me read the full thing. Okay. Yet to all who did receive him, to the name, children born not of natural descent, nor of human decision or a husband's will, but born from God.
Born from God, not from man's will, not from human flesh, but born from God, right? So you're spiritual children of God when you believe in the Messiah, okay? So you have the Torah that reveals that God is the Father, and you have the gospel that reveals that God is the Father to all who believe in Jesus Christ. So everyone who believes will count it as a son of God, a son or daughter of God. This completely goes against everything Islam says, right? You can only be a slave, right? You can only be a servant. That's it.
So, but would you not agree that there's different degrees of servitude? You can be a righteous servant, a wrathful servant, an ungrateful servant, right?
Yes, I agree that you can be a good servant or a bad servant, but none of these servants can be sons in Islam.
Well, yeah, no, but like even the angels, even the jinn, even like any and all creation, everything ultimately is going to be subject to God's will and to God's just like ultimate dominion.
But according to Islam, they're not sons, right?
No, they're not sons. We don't use the term. Like, that's just what it is. We don't use the term.
It's not simply that you don't use the term. It's that the Quran rejects the term.
So I think the verse you were talking about, which you said that it rejects it, I think that was talking in the context of Jesus, though, no? Like, when you say God took a son, it makes the heavens rapture and the earth shake. Like, that's in the context of Jesus, not just like any righteous slave.
Well, yeah, but I can grant that. But my thing is that it eliminates.
So that's like a different claim. That's like the Trinity. That's like the Trinity.
Anyone from being a son, not just Jesus.
Well, yeah, but I'm saying that specific verse is talking about the Trinity.
No, it's not. It has nothing to do with the Trinity. This has to do with the sonship of Jesus or anybody else saying that anybody else is a son.
So that's where I don't really see eye to eye with you, because I don't think, like, the verse just isn't even talking about that concept in general.
All right, so I'll ask it again.
Yeah.
It says there is no one in the heaven or the earth.
Yeah.
Is this only talking about Jesus, or is it talking about everyone in creation?
That's talking about, like, just all creation is subject.
Right. Good. It says, but can come to Allah except as a slave. So there's not a single creature that has ever come into existence that can come to Allah as a son. You can only come to him as a slave, right?
Right.
Done deal. So Jesus says that God is our Father and his Father. He's going directly against the Quran and therefore can't be a Muslim.
Okay, but like, I just want to talk about that one verse. Like, that verse does not imply that you can't also come to God as other things. For example, the Prophet Abraham in the Quran is called a wali of God, a friend of God, right? So he's not a slave of God. In that context, he's a friend.
He's a slave that's a friend of his.
Yeah, so you can be a slave in multiple things to God.
Can you be a son and a slave?
Okay, that I don't know. I'd have to look in the Sunnah to see if there's anything that is about sonship there. But if I just take your word for it, no.
Don't take my word for it. Take the Quran's word for it.
No, because you interpret the Quran through the Sunnah too, though. No. You don't just take the Quran by itself. Come on.
Well, the Quran says it's detailed and explained about all things, so
but it also says to follow the messenger. It also says to follow the messenger.
I know what you're saying, and I grant you your position as a Sunni Muslim that you also understand the Quran through the lens of the Sunnah, through the Hadith. My point is this: is that nowhere in the Quran nor in the Sunnah does it affirm that you can be a son of Allah. All we see are rejections of this idea. Every
Okay,
time
is that really like such a big deal though? Like you can come to Allah as so many other things, a friend, a righteous person, like so many things.
So I got you. Here's the big idea. Here's the big deal.
Yeah.
If someone, because we're talking about who the true God is, his identity, right?
Yes.
So the true God, for example, let's say the true God in Islam, he reveals himself as one God. Now, if someone comes and says, yeah, I believe in the true God, but he's four gods, is it really that big of a deal? Or is it a big deal?
It's a big deal.
It is a big deal because they're not talking about the true God. They're talking about something completely different, right? So when God reveals himself and he reveals his characteristics and he gives us his identity, that's who he is. To say anything otherwise, you're not talking about the true God anymore. You're talking about something false.
Okay, I get your point.
So if God revealed himself as God, our Lord and whatever, and he's not a father at all, and that's what he says, then to say that he's a father is going directly against who he revealed himself to be. And you're not talking about the true God anymore.
So the way I would kind of contextualize that, just like from looking at it, is that's more of like a thing for the Jews, like for Bani Israel. Like that is just how revelation came to them through the angels and like, you know, the angel of the Lord and whatnot. Like they talked about it in that way.
Nice. Now let's see what the Quran says about that.
Okay.
Remember, whose word we're going to take, mine or the Quran?
Quran.
The Quran. So let's see what the Quran has to say about what you just said.
Just trying to get them to believe their own book, man.
That's it. I just want you guys to love the Quran more than I do. That's all. Okay?
Okay, bro.
So this is chapter 5, verse 18, right? Is sonship of Allah, sonship of God, something special for the Jews, right? And that's just what they can do, and they have that relationship with God and that understanding.
You do know the concept of abrogation is in Islam, right? Like there's different Sharia for different time periods as well. So that I'm not talking out of my ass when I say this, bro.
Well, you're saying different Sharias for different people, right? So like, for example, the Quran says in 548, he says, to each of you, talking about the Jews, Christians, and Muslims, to each of you, we have prescribed to you your own law, right? Yeah. So the Jews, they follow the Torah. Christians, they follow the gospel. Muslims, they follow the Quran. Now, they're all supposed to believe in all of the revelations, but those particular books are their laws that they have to follow. Make sense? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So for Muslims, some things could be abrogated for them specifically. That's not for the Jews or the Christians, right? And vice versa. Yes. So, okay. So right here, we're talking about the Jews, like what you just said. So this is chapter 5, verse 18. It says, but the Jews and the Christians say, we are the sons of Allah, his loved ones. Just like you said, that's special for the Jews. They can do that. You know, that was for them. That's in their law. They can do that.
So I think that's talking about Jesus and Ezra.
No, it's not. You're thinking of another verse. This is talking about the Jews and the Christians specifically, about themselves. They're not talking about anybody else. They're talking about themselves.
I know it's a different. I'm saying in the context, like it's not just all sons, right? Like obviously, certain sons are going to.
The Jews and the Christians. These are these groups of people. This is what they say. We are the sons of Allah, his loved ones. That's what they're saying about themselves. That's what they believe. Okay? So now, let's continue. Does Allah accept this? Then why does he punish you for your sins? No, you are not sons. You are human beings from who he has created. He forgives who he wills, and he punishes who he wills. And to Allah belongs the dominion, and to him you will return.
Okay.
So even the Jews who have that understanding that God is their father, Allah says no.
Okay. If that's really what it means, then I'll just take the apparent meaning then and say that, yeah, you can't say your son.
Right.
All right.
So if we're going with what the Quran plainly says, Allah's not a father to no one. And so if you're saying that you're a son of Allah, if you're saying that God is your father, you are going against Islam and you are not a Muslim.
Okay, I wouldn't put it that way. Taking people out of Islam, again, I'm not that knowledgeable, but following your train of logic, like I'm just granting all of this, right? Then I would say, yeah. I'm not takfiring anyone here.
Thank you. Let me ask you this. If someone claimed to be Muslim, but said they believe in 3 gods, does that take them out of Islam?
Yeah, that's sure.
And this is the same thing. Saying that there's somebody.
It's not the thing.
Yes, it is. Saying that somebody is a son of Allah, that is also shirk because you're associating.
No, because you can also, like, Allah looks at the intentions too. If you're thinking of it in a metaphorical way, then obviously, like, that's fine.
No, it's not. Obviously, from the Quran, that's not fine.
But you don't know, like, from the Quran's perspective, like, it's talking about the people who literally take it that way.
No,
like Jesus, like Ezra.
The Jews and the Christians did not say that they were literal sons of God. They said that they are sons of God, his loved ones. He loves them. He takes care of them. That's what they were saying. And he says no.
Okay, yeah, okay, then, yeah, if that's really what it is, then yeah, I'll say no.
Okay, so Jesus can't be a Muslim. That's my point.
From the perspective of the Gospels that we have today, yes.
Yeah, that's, the only perspective we have of Jesus is from the gospel. So Jesus taught that he was the Son of God. He also taught that he was the Son of God who's going to raise the dead on Judgment Day and judge and decide who goes to heaven.
Well, I believe he's going to judge. I don't know about raising the dead and all that. Maybe by bidding Allah, by the power of Allah. But
the Bible says, this is what Jesus says. He says, they're going to hear the voice of the sons of God in the grave, and the Son of God will raise them up, and he'll send them to either eternal life or everlasting judgment. That's what John 5 says.
Okay.
Yeah, brother. Sounds like God to me.
Okay, that's pretty much it. I don't know. I'll have to look more into it, but yeah.
You don't have a question for us? I asked you all the questions, man. I don't think it's
my bad. Yeah, I mean, the only thing I would say is, like, when Muslims talk about the Injil, we're really talking about the actual words that Jesus spoke. We're not talking about his biography. We're not talking about his life.
Let's talk
the
about
passion narrative. Yeah.
Well, let's talk about that. I like that.
Yeah.
I got just the outfit for that.
Okay.
I feel like we've heard this topic before.
Not bad. I'm new.
Avery couldn't wait for that, man. He was like, man.
So, when we talk about the words of Jesus, you're talking about something specific. Okay, cool.
Yeah, I'm talking about the wahi he received, like the actual revelation he received. Yep.
Was the revelation he received written down?
Was it written down? No.
Hey, gotta get you to believe your Quran again, man.
No, because, okay, listen. The Quran was also not written down when it was revealed. Like, you know that, right? Like, it was only written down much later.
That actually works great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So that's what I'm talking about.
It was written down after the fact.
Yeah.
That makes sense. So, if the Injil was written down, it would have been written down after the fact, right?
Yeah, but not as the current New Testament, no.
Well, I want you to check something out for me. Go to chapter 7, verse 157. Go to chapter 7.
Of Quran?
The Quran. Yep, of the Quran.
Okay.
A reminder.
The reminder, the
Reminder.
So what, chapter 7?
Chapter 7.
Verse?
157.
They are the ones who follow the messenger, the unlettered prophet, whose description they find in the Torah and the Gospel. He commands them to do good and forbid them from evil, permits for them what is lawful, forbids to them what is impure, relieves them from their burdens and shackles which bound them, Only those who believe in him, honor, support him, and follow the light sent down to him will be successful.
All right. Do you read Arabic at all?
Nope.
No. Oh, that sucks. Well, so you see the word where they said description. His description is found.
1 second.
Where it says his description is found in the Torah and the Gospel.
Okay.
Up at the top of the verse.
Yeah.
Okay. The word actually is written. They find him written in the Torah and the Gospel. The word is maktubin in Arabic. It's written. Right, Sil? Now, Sil is an Arabic speaker. Sil can,
So do you want to confirm with that?
Yep.
Go ahead and show it on the screen for us. Thank you, DJ.
This is chapter 7, verse 157.
Go down all.
Those who follow the messenger, the prophet, the unlettered, whom they find him, Maktuban, written.
Yep.
Maktuban. Okay.
So it's not really described, which I have no problem with that, but it kind of takes away from, you lose the meaning. It's actually written. So they find him written.
I think that is referring to the Old Testament when, like, no, like Isaiah and stuff. No,
it says written in the Torah and the Injil and the Gospel. The Gospel's not the Old Testament, that's the New. So we see here that the revelation of Jesus at some point in time got written down.
Okay.
So my question is this. Who wrote it?
Paul.
Okay. Paul wrote the Injil.
Paul wrote the Injil.
Paul wrote the Injil.
Okay, but I'm just gonna be honest. I'm not as educated in this like realm, to be honest,
okay.
on like the New Testament and stuff. So yeah, I might get stuff wrong, bro.
It's okay. And you won't. You came to the right live because
Right.
other lives will probably really try to hammer you. But we're chill here, so we're not here to embarrass. You've been cool, so we're just talking. So this is what it is. Would it make sense to you that the companions of Jesus, his disciples, would have written down his revelation?
Bits and parts of it, yeah. The parts that he spoke, definitely.
His revelation, right? The parts
The actual revelation, yes.
right. So is it possible that in their biographies that they wrote about Jesus, that it also contained the revelation that Jesus came with?
Oh yeah, I believe that. I believe that there's a lot in Mark, for example, that he probably spoke and wrote down and stuff. Yeah, I do believe that.
So then that would mean that there's no problem with the style of the content to be in a biographical format, because within this biographical format, it contains the revelation that Jesus revealed, the gospel.
Yeah, bits and parts of it, I would agree.
So then, what we're saying is that we have the Injil. We have the Injil. The disciples wrote it down. They gave us the words of Jesus that they witnessed and heard themselves, and we know what Jesus said.
Yeah, but you don't know if everything he said is in there. You just know the stuff that's in there.
I know that everything he said is in there. Everything he said concerning revelation is in there. The gospel is in there. That's why they're called the gospel. Mark literally starts his gospel off with the the beginning of the gospel of Jesus Christ, the Son of God, and then he begins to write.
Okay.
So, if we're talking about what Jesus revealed, which is the gospel, and we have his words, we see that he says a lot of things in there that goes against Islam. Now, here's the problem. What'd you say?
Which parts? Which parts?
All of them. All of them.
Like, can you name some?
Right. Let me see if about doing this, because Jesus says something along the lines of, "I received this order from my Father." So he received this revelation from God, right? So maybe this is revelation. Okay, this is
Yeah,
this is chapter 10 of John, verse 17 and 18. This is what it says. For this reason the Father loves me, because I lay down my life that I might take it up again. No one takes it from me, but I lay it down of my own accord. I have authority to lay it down, and I have authority to take it back up again. This charge I have received from my Father. So you received it from God, right? So this is revelation.
So is there like a similar account in Mark or Matthew for that like specific event? Or
Yeah,
like
similar.
that speech,
Yeah,
that revelation.
similar things are said. I mean, it's not the exact same words, but
Could you say
we
those
could go,
words?
yeah. Let's go to Mark. Let's go to Mark 10. Okay, and this is Mark 10,
Mm-hmm.
and this is verse 33. This is Jesus talking. All right.
Yes.
See, we are going up to Jerusalem, and the Son of Man will be delivered over to the chief priests and the scribes, and they will condemn him to death, to unalive him, and deliver him over to the Gentiles. They will mock him, spit on him, flog him, and kill him, unalive him.
Mm-hmm.
And after 3 days, he will rise.
Okay, that is pretty different, but I get the point. The underlying.
Well, it's talking to different audiences, but you wanted to see something similar, right?
Yeah. I grant that's kind of similar. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
So you have in Mark, you have in Matthew, all of them where Jesus says that he's laying down his life for the people and giving his life as a ransom. You have in all the accounts of the gospel of Jesus, they all say the same thing. They have the same theme, same thread. You know? And if that's what Jesus is teaching, then obviously the Quran can't be true because it goes against that.
Well, it's right up until the point where you say he's going to rise again on the third day. That's a discrepancy.
That's not the only discrepancy. The fact that he says he's going to be betrayed and given up to be crucified, and he's going to be crucified, he's going to be killed, he's going to die. That is a discrepancy.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. And the fact that he's not dead. Those two things.
Exactly, right? So that's huge. You get rid of that, you get rid of Christianity altogether. So you have Jesus affirming his death and affirming his resurrection, which the Quran or Islam, I would say, just, obviously goes against. So Jesus is saying something, right? And here's the thing. It's not just Jesus that teaches this. The prophets before Jesus said that the Messiah was going to die for the sins of the people. The prophets taught this before Jesus came.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to see that, I don't mind showing you that, just a couple verses, but this is my thing, is the consistency of the prophets. If we can see a clear thread from the prophets teaching the same thing, right? One message, right? That's what Islam is built on. One message, one message. We're the same way. The prophets are consistent in one message, but the message that the prophets are consistent on is that they all point to the Messiah. And
I have a legitimate question. Then why do Jews not also recognize this? Then, if it's so clear from the Old Testament and the old prophets, like, wouldn't they also, see the same things?
Well, they will see the same things, but not all will believe, because you have the people who are hard-hearted and stubborn, right? Even the Quran talks about them. The Quran says that signs came to them, right? The revelations came to them, signs came to them.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
Worshipping the calf, everything, but
exactly. Right after God just delivered them from from Egypt, with all these signs and wonders, defeating Pharaoh and his army, and they're going to go and worship a calf just because they're thirsty and hungry for a few days. Yeah, that's the type of people we're talking about.
I agree with that.
So they're very fickle. So yes, the truth can be right in front of their eyes, but that doesn't mean that they'll believe it. They'll still rebel. So, fortunately, though, we do have, a group, it's not the majority, but it's still a large group of Jews who do believe in the Messiah, They're called Messianic Jews. Messianic.
Yeah, but don't Messianic Jews not believe Jesus is God though?
No, they believe he's God.
They believe something similar to Islam, that Jesus was the Messiah and like all this, but he's just not God.
Nope, they believe he's God, brother.
The Ebionites.
They're not Ebionites.
Okay. I'm thinking of another group then. I'm thinking of the earliest Jewish groups. My bad.
But also,
well, I think a lot of the Ebionites were Jewish, but they had issues among them because they still believed Jesus was unalive by crucifixion, and also they believed he was not born of a virgin. So they're having plenty of problems.
Yeah,
and the only reason you find about
my bad. Go on.
Okay, I was just going to say the only reason you know about these Ebionites is because of the church fathers. They don't have their own writings, so.
So then, because I think they go from the Church of James, like that's where they get their teachings from.
They don't.
No.
James affirmed everything that the disciples affirmed. And that's in the gospel. Yeah,
Okay.
They go against what James believes. Yeah.
All right. Well, to be honest, I'd have to look into all this.
Yeah. Look into this. Is what I want you to look into from this point. I want you to look into: did the prophets prophesy the death of the Messiah? That's what I want you to check out. Before you look into, and that it should be number one.
Because I do know that they believe that the Messiah was going to establish and restore the kingdom of Jerusalem on earth and expand that kingdom, which Jesus didn't do.
Yeah, he's going to do that when he comes back, which even you believe.
Yeah.
So that's his second coming. First he comes as a humble servant. The suffering servant is what the scripture calls. The suffering servant who comes into Jerusalem not on a high horse, but on a donkey, right? And he serves. He's a priest, right? The second time he comes, that man coming on that white horse.
Yeah,
Exactly.
so my bad. I meant if those prophecies were about the Messiah, then that would make sense.
Yeah.
But because now I think they're about Prophet Muhammad, obviously.
We can talk about that. Well, I mean, we can talk about that, man.
Someone is about Muhammad again, man. The son of Muhammad.
That is tough, man. I wouldn't focus on any church history because that could get lost in the weeds. Read a gospel, and then of course read what the prophets say. And if you don't want to do too much homework, just read one gospel, read the book of Isaiah, maybe Psalms 22, and Avery or King Soph have any they want to recommend.
No, that's it. I just want them to focus on. I don't want them to do any big readings. I just want them to focus on one subject, which is: did the prophets prophesy the death of the Messiah? Did they prophesy his crucifixion? Okay. That's what I want you to look into.
Okay, I'll look into that.
I totally agree with that. Yeah, do your research on regarding that. Which is a crucifixion.
All right, and if I see any rebuttals on that or any counterpoints, I'll come back.
Come back to me.
Yeah, let us know, man.
All right.
Thanks for coming, man. Best guest I have all day.
All right, thank you, man. Bye.
Have a good one, bro. Thanks for coming.
You too. Bye.